And then there's Bad Fergie, her description, not mine, who makes bad judgments and lands herself in scandal time after time.
The marriage of Andrew and Sarah Ferguson is not remembered. They are remembered for the subsequent events. And it becomes evident why their names are still associated with controversy decades later when you compare everything year by year, scandal upon scandal. And why, years after their divorce, they are still such a close couple. The majority of people are aware of the highlights, such as the Epstein link, the financial difficulties, and their unpleasant treatment of employees. But it is difficult to ignore the pattern when you take a closer look at how frequently trouble followed them both individually and together. Using published facts, direct quotations, and what is truly on the record, we will examine 11 of the most significant scandals connected to Andrew and Sarah Ferguson today. You may or may not recall some of this.
30 years ago, John Bryan found himself at the heart of a royal story like no other, when these infamous toe-sucking pictures of him with his then-girlfriend Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, were splashed all over the tabloids.
The abuse allegations are, of course, the earliest and most significant controversy that continues to shape Andrew's public image. Virginia Jaffrey claimed in court documents and sworn testimony that she was trafficked to Andrew as a teenager by Jeffrey Epstein. She stated that the interactions took place at Ghislaine Maxwell's London home, Epstein's New York property, and Epstein's own Caribbean island between 2001 and 2002. Andrew has continually refuted these accusations. A criminal trial did not take place. But in 2022, the civil lawsuit was resolved for an unknown amount, purportedly in the millions. He lost his remaining military titles and royal patronages as a result of the consequences. The public's perception of him was altered by that narrative alone. However, it doesn't exist in a vacuum because there were already significant doubts about his judgment, his connections, and the people he permitted to be close to him long before those accusations were made public. This takes us to the second point, Sarah Ferguson's financial connections to Epstein. According to emails that the Mail was able to get on Sunday, Epstein allegedly gave Ferguson financial support for a very long time, roughly 15 years.
Don't try and trick me now because I'm not going to play this game. Delete that bit. John, can you delete it, please, that bit? Because I don't want to go down this...
Duchess, I'm asking very fair questions of you.
This was much more than the $20,000 she first admitted in public. 15 years of financial assistance. According to a source who spoke to the newspaper, Epstein finally ended their relationship because he was annoyed by her constant demands for money. The source stated that she was regularly requesting financial assistance and that what was expressed in public did not correspond with what was going on in private. Ferguson then expressed regret for having any connection to Epstein. However, the length of their connection and the emails made many uneasy about how reliant on his money she had grown. Then, a few months after her split from Andrew in the early 1990s, there was the incident that irrevocably tarnished her reputation. Ferguson and her financial advisor, John Bryan, were pictured while on vacation in San Rope. He was seen nibbling her toes while she was taking a sunbath in the pictures that the Daily Mirror published. In addition to the intimacy, she was still legally married and a well-known public figure at the time, which led to indignation. The pictures became an enduring symbol of royal humiliation after appearing in newspapers all around the world.
Absolutely. The Crown is... I suddenly woke up in the morning, I had 600 messages on my phone, and I was going, what happened? And it was the Crown. So, yes, it's instigated a huge worldwide...
situation has come under scrutiny once more. The fourth is the financial error about Andrew's associations that surfaced in 2025. Court records from October 2025 tied him to Adrian Gleave, a businessman associated with a failed company who was charged with pension misselling. According to the documentation, Andrew was paid about $8,000. Andrew was not charged with a crime, but the optics were harmful once more. Opponents questioned why someone with his background kept hanging out with those involved in financial scandals. Then there was the real estate transaction that caused controversy worldwide. In 2010, Andrew sold his Sunning Hill Park property to Timur Kuliv, the son-in-law of the president of Kazakhstan at the time, for $15 million, some $3 million more than the asking price. Suspicion was immediately aroused by the overpayment.
Sarah Ferguson at war with me, but also with herself.
I'm going to take 5 minutes.
Sorry?
No, nothing. I'm just going to take 5 minutes.
Fed up 1 minute,
Any fish in here?
Brash, charming, and funny the next.
Many questioned whether it was an indirect means of garnering influence, or if it was indeed a typical real estate transaction. Who would spend more than $3 million beyond market value, or the asking price? Although Andrew's staff denied any wrongdoing, subsequent reports showed that his office had also tried to assist Kulebaev in negotiating a different arrangement. The event, which was extensively covered by The Guardian, is still one of the most frequently mentioned instances of dubious judgment. Sarah Ferguson was involved in yet another scandal at about the same time. The cash for access controversy occurred in 2010. Fergie in her prime. An undercover News of the World reporter secretly recorded her and offered to sell Andrew access for $500. She was caught on camera accepting a down payment of $40,000 in cash and claiming that the money would lead to opportunities. She later stated that she was under financial hardship and that Andrew was unaware of it. The harm had already been done. The video was self-explanatory. She had already encountered legal issues overseas 2 years prior. The Turkish orphanage. Scandal must also be discussed. While working on a documentary for ITV in 2008, Ferguson shot inside a Turkish orphanage. She was charged by Turkish officials with entering under false pretenses and compromising 5 children's privacy. British officials later denied a request for extradition. Before being dropped in 2019, the matter dragged on for years. However, the episode made her reputation for bad judgment much worse. There were staff problems behind the scenes as well. There are a lot of staff problems. Paul Burrell, a former royal butler and writer of the Royal Insider, claims that Ferguson routinely had arguments with domestic staff. He talked about a lack of respect, stress, and impatience that finally exploded. According to reports, one employee was so irate that he publicly yelled a comment regarding her lunch order.
Oh, it was the best day of my life, apart from having my girls. And I had a lovely dress. It's a great dress. And it was certainly a long kiss on the balcony. That was a good long one.
In a healthy workplace, that kind of breakdown does not occur. Additionally, there are allegations of Andrew's actions toward employees, including making sure they arrange his collection of teddy bears precisely, yelling at them, and making them clean up dirty tissues by his bed. Then there is a claim that continues to astound people. Fergie has a crush on convicted felon Epstein. Ghislaine Maxwell apparently implied that Ferguson had a personal interest in Epstein during conversations with U.S. officials. She said she felt ignored and upset, and she thought Ferguson was attempting to get close to him. Additionally, according to Maxwell, Ferguson welcomed Epstein's release from prison and went to see him in New York with her daughter's gift, requesting assistance with her charitable endeavors. Although these assertions are merely accusations, they are documented in the public domain and contribute to an already unsettling network of relationships. There is, of course, Andrew's usage of public funds. His extensive use of private aircraft and helicopters, frequently at public cost, earned him the moniker Air Miles Andy between 2005 and 2019. Reports concerning frequent luxury travel raised concerns about entitlement and accountability. Lastly, there have been persistent reports of Andrew's actions overseas. He allegedly entertained hundreds of women for brief periods of time while traveling to Thailand and Hong Kong, according to numerous sources and former acquaintances. These allegations led to a reputation for excess and lax boundaries that dogged him for years, even though no formal charges were filed in connection with them. When all of information is combined, it creates a picture that is hard to ignore. Decades of debate, dubious decisions, and associations that continually came back to haunt them both, rather than a single, isolated error or a bad year. This is the question, then. Do you believe that Andrew and Sarah Ferguson were merely careless or innocent? Or do you suppose they thought they were above everything and that the rules never really applied to them? Or I suppose, is it possible that these are all lies and they are innocent? Tell me what you think. Remember to subscribe. For more royal news and analysis, if you thought this breakdown was useful,